You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
This is Grand Design Podcast with DJ and Jerry Grant, as we link the chains of reason of sports, politics, and culture.
Welcome to the Grand Designs Podcast, episode 18. I'm DJ Grant, and I'm here with my brother Jerry, as usual.
Hello.
And our first official guest is Ryan Trainer.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Thank you.
In the history of Grand Designs Podcast, and the trivia question comes up, who's the first guest? That'll be Ryan Trainer.
I'll try to make it a grand episode. So.
There you go. Let you know how to get a hold of us. You can hear us at just about anywhere you hear podcasts now. You can follow us on Twitter at Grand Designs Pod. Our Instagram is Grand Designs Podcast, and our email is granddesignspodcast@yahoo.com. Today, hopefully it's a fun episode. We'll be talking about sports movies, and we're all going to go over our favorite sports movies. So, Jerry, what's yours?
The top 10, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At number 10, Brian's Song. I remember that one. Pretty emotional. I still like watching it.
Oh, okay.
Just you comparing them. I see. Okay. All right. Number 9.
Well, Brian's Song was real sad, though. I mean, that was a heartbreaker.
It's still kind of hard to watch at the end. But before that, it was pretty cool. The training camp and what they did together, how they grew. That was pretty nice.
Is that football? What sport?
Yeah,
I didn't
football.
See that. Yeah,
it's with Brian Piccolo, who ended up getting cancer, and Gil Sayers of the Chicago Bears. We in school actually had to read the transcript and then watch the movie, and the girls were all crying at the end of the movie.
It's horrible. It'll rip your heart out if you get
check it out. Yeah.
Oh, it's a good movie. But it's old. James
Chef.
Caan, or Caan.
Yeah.
James Caan. He stars as Brian Piccolo.
Is it like 80s, 70s?
Oh, it's like 70s.
Billy D. Williams plays Gale Sayers.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, he was real young back then. So.
Before Star Wars.
Way
before Star Wars.
I knew he was going to say that. Yeah. Okay.
Lando.
Number 9, Caddyshack. That's almost an all-time classic. 8, Major League. Now 7, I don't know if you heard of. Go on, Major League.
Well, I'm not going to lash at your list.
No, feel free.
Late Major League to me was a crappy movie. I mean, it had some funny parts, but it was hard for me getting through that. And some of the characters are not believable. I mean,
well, carrying the baseball bat after you hit the home run, some of those things, yeah, I agree. But I found it, they are funny, but I still enjoy watching it to this day.
Yeah, it's a classic. I mean, for a lot of people that, like these kind of movies,
yes.
it has to come up in conversation. So,
number 7 is Draft Day.
There's one I never saw.
That's pretty awesome. Kevin Costner. It's about the draft, the NFL draft, and literally how he's almost on the brink of getting fired. And he says how he's going to pull off these major deals. On the last day, he takes one owner, a.k.a. Detroit Lions, for a sucker and actually gets like the number 1 pick for nothing. Turns out to be the kid was hurt. It's a really good movie. You want to see the ins and outs of what goes behind the scenes. They have Goodell. I forget the player. Denver Broncos linebacker. He's a stud of a linebacker. Oh, can't think of his name right now. I can see his face. I can see his picture. He's a big-time bonus playing. Anyways, he's actually in the movie as a rookie draft pick. They actually have him going through the NFL draft with Roger Goodell coming up. They actually simulate the whole NFL experience. Kevin Costner is the GM for the Browns.
Was this a theatrical release?
I don't even think it went to the movies, but it went to not pay-per-view or whatever right away.
Right to DVD?
Yes, right away.
Those actors, really?
Yep.
I would think they would have that in theaters.
There's even more than that. There's more big ones than that. I can't even offhand think of the other actors, the other owners, other GMs. I mean, again, big-time football players, even some head coaches. Roger Goodell was in it.
I can't believe that got by me. I don't remember
I've
hearing
never
this.
heard of it either.
If you like the draft, you'll like that movie. Mystery Alaska is number 6.
That's the hockey one.
Yes,
I would assume.
Yeah,
I actually forgot about that one, and had I thought of it, it would be in my top 10. That's a good movie.
Yeah, it's true. I still actually, again, like Major League, I'll watch that if I see this coming on. I'll even save time, make sure I'm home just to watch that movie.
Only problem is Russell Crowe. You could tell he did not know how to skate.
Yeah,
you could tell he just wasn't. He was not a skater.
If you play hockey, you know. Other than that, you'll never know.
Whenever they filmed him skating, he was gliding.
Yes,
he was never ever actually skating.
Correct. He never took any strides. Correct.
Yes,
correct. Number 4. I'm sorry. Number 5. 61.
I never heard of that one either. Jeez.
Well, that's about Roger Maris in the 61. The year he hit 61 home runs and beat Babe Ruth, but they just scarred the dude. Scarred him for doing it, for breaking the record. They threatened him. Actually, I believe this is why he died of cancer, because during that whole season, the press literally, the year before, they used to play 150 games.
Okay.
This year, 1960, I believe, or 61. It may have been 61. They actually increased the games to 162. So they got 12 more games this year. He's on pace to blow it out of the water. Him and Mickey Mantle are going back and forth. The writers basically say, you can't do this. You got to put an asterisk by it. It doesn't count. You know, Babe Ruth is bigger. They're going back to the days. This is the commissioner saying, I remember when Babe Ruth hit more home runs than all teams combined. It was just out to save Babe Ruth's record. That's all they wanted to do. And you had writers behind the scene telling them to actually put this asterisk in it. And the bad part was Roger Maris died never knowing he actually broke Babe Ruth's record, because he actually broke it after 150. And that was a problem. The poor guy had hair coming out of his head. Jeez. He actually went up to the manager. Who was the manager? Famous one. I think it wasn't Whitey Herzog, because Whitey was the pitcher. But he went up to him and said, I don't want to play. And this is during the streak of the home runs. And the manager's like, dude, you got to play. Yeah. The fans coming to see you. He's like, this is Roger Maris. I just don't want to go out there anymore. It got into him that bad to where even Mickey Mantle had to take a stand. He's like, hey, leave him alone. And again, those guys were just going left and right.
Had there been a Twitter in that time, he probably would have died of cancer before the season ended, because he was getting so much hate mail. And that really affected him. I mean, Mickey Mantle was telling him, just ignore it. Just, let it go. But he took it to heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fat bastard still following me in left field.
The ghost.
Yeah, the ghost. Because even the New York fans, he's playing for the Yankees, and the Yankees fans really in the stands call him a bum, because he was about to break the Babe Ruth record. Yeah. It was horrible. If I would have been around that, I wouldn't be able to stand it.
Yeah,
I just couldn't believe it.
Pretty bad.
I imagine what Hank Aaron went through when he broke the record, because there's a racial thing involved there. And I bet you it was even worse than Roger Maris. It had to be. Just like Jackie Robinson breaking in, probably. Exactly.
Number 4, Slapshot. That's a classic.
Oh, absolutely.
Come on. It's classic.
Oh, absolutely.
The Hanson brothers alone, when they play hockey, so watching it.
Opening. Ogie Olatorp. I mean, there's so much.
No, the opening is the goalie.
The goalie, but he's the one who was.
Right, but on the talk show.
Of the 2 minutes, you feel bad, then you're free.
Yes, but will you please, what is cross-checking? Oh, you take your stick and he right across the guy's shin. He literally, oof. Live on TV?
It was more of a /2, but yes. No, I agree. Slapshot's an awesome movie.
Number 3 is Miracle. That was a pretty cool movie, especially about that time and the behind the scenes. And from what I understand, it's pretty accurate to actually what happened. The speech is almost word for word.
Yes and no, because there was a scene where they had to win against Finland in order to take the gold medal. And
they left that one out. I'm talking the one before Russia.
Well, hold on. The whole thing is, because it was Disney, made for family, when
Herb
Brooks walks out. He tells them, you guys are going to take this to the grave if you lose this game. And he walks out, turns around and says, to the effing grave. And
your effing grave. That's
yes,
right. I remember,
and the F word was
I remember Aruzioni saying that, yes.
Yeah, so that they cut that out. That wasn't in the movie. So it was partly accurate.
Well, I would say just getting him up to beat the Russians in that game, that speech there was word for word. That's what I meant.
I love Kurt Russell. I thought he was a great actor. He pulled off a great Herb Brooks. I mean, he did good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good movie. It was. It wasn't as accurate as.
Right, but they even did a good job of replaying or recreating the actual goals. I remember you and I kind of watched that after it was played. And they're almost the same. Hard to do, when you're trying to film a movie.
I loved the movie. I even got the feeling back of what it was like back there watching it, even though we got it on tape delay.
Well,
I still, that energy of America actually beating them, that was something.
The way Al Michaels announced it, You Believe in Miracles, kind of dramatized it out. Number 2 is North Dallas 40. Now, you can't start NFL season until you watch that movie first. I mean, that used to be every NFL before the season. We had to watch that to open it up.
That movie has one of the funniest and greatest lines in all of movie. That ain't gross. Gross is when you go to kiss your grandpa good night and he sticks his tongue down your throat. Now that's gross. That is one of the greatest lines in all of moviedom.
Yeah,
I still love that line.
I never heard of this movie.
You should, once again, it's another old one, but you should definitely check out.
What year?
Well,
it's in the 70s.
okay, this is actually about the Dallas Cowboys, and the coach is Tom Landry, and he literally treats Staubach is Mac Davis, the quarterback. The tight end is who the wide receiver is in the movie. Basically, this wide receiver's got some skill. He can catch the ball, but he's an individualist. He's not about the team, and the coach hates that. Now, this is the coach in the movie, and he's dresses like Tom Landry, uses the computer against his players. No damn one of you is better than that computer.
To me, that's philosophical. That says you as an individual, you're not good enough. In fact, there was one play where the hero of the movie, the wide receiver, Nick Nolte's character, catches the game-winning touchdown, and he kind of tells the coach, I caught the winning touchdown. And Tom Landry's character says, we let you catch that touchdown. The individual doesn't matter. It's the team that all matters, and that's the collective over the individual.
Now, there's another one where the wide receiver Nolte is talking to Mac Davis, and he goes, here's where you screwed up. No, this is where you screwed up. Now, you got the coach saying, Maxwell changes the play, Elliott breaks pattern, and the touchdown was a fluke. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're playing, I think, Seattle. Far inferior team to ours. He said something else, and you laugh. You think it's funny? You'll do it on someone else's football team, not mine. I mean, he was just like Tom.
He even dresses like Tom Landry. Tom Landry used to wear this hat all the time. I mean, when I was a kid, Tom Landry was the biggest coach of the NFL at the time. And he dressed, during game time, he dressed exactly like Tom Landry, acted like Tom Landry. And this was written by a Dallas Cowboy. The book was written by a Dallas Cowboy.
Now, another thing, though, is remember John Matuszak was in that. He actually played football for the Raiders, and he's a crazy son of a gun in this movie. He plays it to the T. The opening scene is an after party from a victory. And these guys are just going nuts. And they actually say because the next week's the playoffs. And they actually say they're partying so hard because they're fearing they're going to fall on their asses in or Chicago.
It's in Chicago.
Yes. So I mean, the opening scene is hilarious with the Matuszak and the dollies.
I highly recommend this movie.
Yes,
check out.
yes, absolutely. The number one for me is one that I can't get sick of it is 8 Men Out. Only because it showed back in 1919 how the owners were cheap as hell. And the only way for the players to get back was to throw the series. And always because it started to be Eddie Seacott. Now, the owner, Kaminsky, who owned the White Sox, Kaminsky Park, basically had a clause in Eddie Seacott's contract. When you get 30 wins, you get $10,000. He got 29. And he went up to the office now after the season, before the playoffs, and Eddie Seacott basically said, hey, I should back up. They approached Eddie Seacott about throwing the series. He was like, get away from me. Sorry. Went up to see the owner and said, hey, I think I've earned that $10,000. You set me out 3 weeks just so I wouldn't get that 30th win, which Kaminsky did. Now, Kaminsky looks at his accountant and says, forget his name, how many did Mr. Seacott win? He looks at it, 29. 29 is not 30. I only pay for you what you do. Like he was just mising. So Eddie Seacott goes and he gets $10,000 cash for throwing that World Series. Now, there are other involved, and the other part, the intriguing part, is Buck Weaver. He never got a dime, never participated. But he was one of the boys, and he was just in on a couple meetings. He was just there, wrong place, wrong time. Didn't know what was going on. In fact, when he picked up, he's like, wait, what's going on here? And then went to tell the manager, but then didn't want to rat on the boys because he's one of the boys. So he wasn't in on it. He was like in between. And he paid. He never got in. He lost everything. He was truly black label for the rest of his career.
Well, the real life tragedy of the Black Sox scandal was Shoeless Joe Jackson. He was a great player and could have went a long way in major leagues and ended up.
Well, him too. His ignorance or lack of education thereof kind of did him in because again they just not see again why I liked it. The attorneys, they themselves were so arrogant that one of the players basically said. He basically introduced all the attorneys and said, this is the Ty Cobb, I forget the other guy in this. And then Buck Weaver said, well, who's the Babe Ruth? And he looks at him and says, that would be me. Now, this is of the attorney world. Now, Remember the confessions they signed? They disappeared. Before that, you had the backer, the gangster who was backing the whole thing. His guys meet the attorneys and say they'll do anything we tell them to do. So you had the attorneys during the whole court were in on it when they got him off. That's why it's a great movie. And this is back in 1919 that we had this politics going on, and this is Major League Baseball. It almost killed the sport.
Because
Babe Ruth saved
gambling,
it.
I wouldn't doubt if the mob was involved in it too. I don't know. It's speculation, but I wouldn't doubt it. But the gambling, I mean,
Well, that's what took
They
it.
always in it,
yes.
Well, again, they had a reporter who went on the train and basically sang the song about they're all throwing ball games and the gamblers are taking their toll, and it's true. I mean, he was calling them right out to their faces because they even took it. In the first game they were circling the players because in the movie you've seen it, right? Mm-hmm. The bobbling of that one ground ball was just ridiculous. You knew something was up for a professional player. So the whole thing, the inner going on of the politics, is why that was my favorite of all time.
Tell it to Bill Buckner.
Because that's a sad story. It is, that's Boston. Come on, I mean,
I agree.
He
should have had his one point.
That's why I would say Boston doesn't deserve the championships they're going through right now because of what they did to him.
I agree. But
that's mine. If you want any honorable mentions, real quick, Youngblood and The Youngest Yard.
I agree with those two. Yeah, well, Longest Yard especially. Well, which version? The new one or the old one?
The old one. No, the new one I just don't like.
Well, it was close. The new one was close.
Yeah,
to
but
the
once
old
you
one.
watch the old one, and Burt Reynolds and the whole team, the Mean Machine, it's a little bit of twist and nuances with Chris Rock in the new one that it didn't sit well with me. That's all.
Okay. Well, I got a lot of the same in my top 10. So although I wouldn't have number 10 if I would have thought of Mystery Alaska. Happy Gilmore is my number 10.
You see, that's one that I took out because of Mystery Alaska. He was on my list, but then it went out.
That's what I just said. And what I like about Happy Gilmore is a hockey player going golf and playing it like it's hockey.
Sports going into one.
Exactly.
It's a very funny idea. So.
Yes, and I actually this is one of the movies I liked Adam Sandler's acting.
The whole trailer.
Some I don't, but
the whole trailer trash crowd following him on the golf course,
Yeah.
which you don't see now. But yeah,
absolutely.
Guns don't kill people. I kill people. His boss.
True. Number 9 for me is just a childhood memory. It's Bad News Bears. No, the original only. Not the cheesy sequels. Yeah. The original Bad
Walter
News Bears.
Matthau.
Absolutely, yes. Tatum O'Neal. I remember going to the drive-in theater. This dates me, I know, but going to the drive-in theater with my parents and watching it, and we went more than once. I mean, that was the D movie of my childhood.
That's a classic.
It is.
It's one that gets brought up in these kind of conversations.
Number 8, we already talked about Miracle. That gives me chills when I watch that, when they win it. Number 7, the same, 61. That's where we agree. Number 6 is Slapshot, another one, the same. Number 5 is Brian's Song, which I didn't think Jerry was going to have on his list, but apparently he beat me to it. 4, North Dallas 40. But number 3, Rudy. That movie, even though it's a drama, that movie to me, even though it's Notre Dame,
that's why I couldn't put it on the list.
Well, I could stop it just because of the team, but it was still a good movie. And the fact that this training player, not even on the team, makes a tackle on that last game, and I mean that was an uplifting movie.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But that tackle never happened.
I don't know.
It never,
I don't want to say that. I truly don't know. Did it?
No, it didn't. It did not happen. I forget how I heard, but they talked about the actual Daniel Rudiger and the actual black-haired guy with the sideburns. He did play. It was a kickoff. He played one defensive play. He did not make a tackle. And they actually said, did you watch the movie? The tight end never – you got this 3-foot munchkin, and he never even – come on. You would run after that guy.
True, but logically speaking, he could have been thinking, "Oh, this guy's nothing. I don't have to block him and let him go."
So again, in this show, they brought that up. They brought that up, and the guy goes, "No, you're a football player. You're gonna be salivating. Could you see this little tiny guy across from you? That's just one forearm, and he's done. There's no just." He did. He just ignored him.
If you have a thug mentality, you're right. But if that blocker did not have a thug mentality, he could have thought, I don't need it. He's a nobody. He's not going to get to the court. And if he does, he won't tackle him.
I guess what I'm saying is because of Notre Dame in that last play, that last scene, which didn't happen, and I confirmed this long after I watched it, is why it wasn't to make my list. But doesn't mean it's not a good movie.
Number 2 would have been my number 1 if it wasn't for the ending. A League of Their Own.
And that's why I didn't put it in, because that ending.
See, the
I
ending
couldn't do it.
just ruined that for me. But everything else up until that ending, I love that movie.
Is just because of the like them coming back, like when they're older and stuff.
She gave up to the little sister, the little brat sister in the end,
okay.
and I think she dropped the ball on purpose,
Well, no,
letting her win.
She did, because if you watch the movie,
Yeah, that's like the
early in the
speculation.
no, early in the season, she got trucked by this girl who was just a bull and held onto the ball.
Yeah,
Her sister is a twig,
yeah.
so it was just. And not only that, before that, she hit a single and Dan took her head off, and Dottie realized she was crying. Once again, their whole life, it was always Dottie, and she was realizing, I'm doing it to her again.
See,
and she gave in. Like
my problem with that is she gave in to a brat. Her younger sister. I'm the younger of the brother here. I know what it's like to be the younger and always in my brother's shadow, especially with sports. I was always in his shadow. But still, she gave in to the brat. And to me, that ruined it. I mean, Tom Hanks was perfect in that movie.
The best part of that movie.
Absolutely. Well, John Lovitz was pretty damn good, too.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh, he made me laugh a lot.
Those two together, yeah. I mean, not in the same scene, but in the beginning it was Lovitz as the agent recruiting, and then Hanks taking over as the coach. Absolutely. Yeah, those two carried you through.
He's like never been that big of like a dirtbag, but you still like love him because Tom Hanks is such a great actor. You know what I mean? It's like really funny to think. He just did that so well.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
No, he did the whole thing from when he was going to see Harvey, coaching the team. He thought it was a big league team and getting the girls team, and then when he tells them it's a girls team, it's
he gets
a
so
bunch of
mad.
girls. Yeah, a bunch of girls.
So he's like drinking all the time.
Yeah,
he's just always mad.
He doesn't even care.
Yeah.
He doesn't even.
He talks to them like they're men and all that. You know, it's like
Well, given the time,
for sure.
How else would you talk to him, especially in a baseball?
That's why his
context.
acting was so good in that.
Absolutely,
because it's like that's probably exactly what a person like that would do, even with the war going on and stuff.
Well, the first time he met the team, for the first game, he just came in drunk.
Time it is B, absolutely,
and left. That was it.
See, that there is another. Madonna probably ruined that one for me, and Rosie O'Donnell. But still, the whole cast. Gina Davis, I thought was perfect as Dottie.
Really
I mean, it was good. I liked that movie, except the ending.
The announcers, the radio announcers.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure if you could hear me, because it's not a strong radio signal.
One of the announcers was Squiggy from Lenny and Squiggy.
That's
which
right. He's the one.
Yes.
He's the one. There's nobody in the stadium. I know if you could hear me, you're in town, because this station is having
it's a very weak station.
Very weak
signal. Yes. Yes. And number 1 for me was Caddyshack. I love that movie. Bill Murray was awesome, and especially with between him and I can't think of his name from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, Chevy Chase.
Yes, Chevy Chase.
God, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes, absolutely.
If you watch behind the scenes, those two never had a scene together. They had to write one in at the end of the movie because they never had one together. So if you kind of think about it, it's really weird.
Oh, the whole thing, smoking the doob between the two of them. That was pretty funny.
And Bill Murray being totally improv. Everything was improv, which is kind of amazing.
Oh, as a kid, I remember watching it, and on the green where he's doing cutting the flowers.
Yeah.
And,
No.
Yes.
About to become the 2000 After Champion.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great movie. To me, there's my number 1. League of Their Own would have been number 1 if it wasn't for the ending. But
again, League of Their Own's a little more dramatic compared to Caddyshack. You know,
yeah, but it had comedy in it too, which is what I liked.
Yeah, it was a good balance.
Tom Hanks. Yeah, that was a comedy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Ryan, your turn.
Yeah, I got a little different kind of list, and like I said, it's hard to put it from like least to my all-time favorite. But I mean, there is a lot of good movies based around like sports and all that. And I know we talked about before, like, what is your guys' definition of like a sports movie? Like, what do you?
Well, I guess I could give you an example, and you brought this up. Okay, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Okay?
Oh, come on.
It's not.
No, it's not. This goes to what I was telling you about earlier, how just because there's sports in it doesn't make it a sports movie. Like Incredibles, they have a track meet in that movie. It's not a sports movie.
Okay.
So the setting or one particular event doesn't necessarily mean it's a sports movie. But that doesn't mean it can't be in your list. I'm just...
Yeah, I know, and it's,
Usually, I guess I would define it as the plot.
So.
Like I thought about Little Giants. That almost made my list.
Actually, that's a definite sports movie.
It's basically the plot has got something to do with the I mean, it could be horror secretariat. I consider that. Although some people don't consider horse racing a sport, I still consider that a sport movie.
Yeah, or like Kingpin.
Oh no, Kingpin would be. I would agree. It's just like Color of Money for a pool.
Yeah.
That's a sports
I mean,
movie.
This is actually pretty recent now, but
Well, The Color of Money, I think that was about pool. So
I just said that.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, sorry. I wasn't paying attention, obviously.
Christian Bale just he had that trailer come out for his new movie, and it's about like Formula One racing, I think, or something like that.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, yes.
It's just a trailer, but like
I've seen
it's kind
it,
of
correct.
interesting to,
Yep.
I'm like, that's a sport. Not that I really am into that, but
No, that would be
correct,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, give
but
it a
yeah, the ones that I had are more either on the comedy side or dramatic stuff. But I just thought of this on the way here too. I don't know why I forgot, but I really thought Concussion was good, so I'll just put that 10. But
that's about the NFL, correct?
yeah, because
Will Smith was a doctor in it.
Yeah, he's the doctor that like basically kind of found out about CTE, and he was kind of like, I forgot the actual football player that went crazy and like, I think he killed his wife.
Juniors. Oh no. Okay, so Sal was a little bit later. Yeah, I know you're talking about because the NFL was putting this doctor and just putting him, just literally brutalizing the guy.
Yeah,
because they did not want it coming out.
Well, there goes their meal ticket. Once they find out,
yeah.
We talked about this earlier. Once parents find out this is dangerous, not going to want their little kids growing up to be football players.
Not to change the subject, but just today they want to make a law in Michigan: no tackle football until 14. So that movie there is exactly what.
Yeah.
Worse than that, not to change it, but Michigan also is you can only have 30 minutes of contact right now. 30 minutes of contact per week to get ready for your to your league. When I played football as a kid, we played contact every day for an hour. So that's 5 hours a week.
Good. I mean, there really is no other way.
That's exactly the point. These kids are not going to be able to get good by limiting it like that. And if you're going to say you can't tackle, that's going to be detrimental too.
There's going to be some serious injuries. Yeah. You think about it in high school, they don't know how to deal with it. Next thing you know, they're getting blasted.
I agree. I think it's detrimental.
Yeah, it was just a good movie, and Will Smith did a really good job.
It was a good movie.
Space Jam. That'll be my next one. I just had to throw that in there.
No, I got to give it to you because the one with the Bill Murray. Larry?
Bill Murray, yeah.
I think I'm going to give us a 2 because of the dramatic experience that we just went through on this. Yeah, okay, I like that. Jordan just disappeared down a hole, and they're giving themselves a 2. That was awesome.
Well, I like that movie. The concept of them becoming little space monsters, I think that's awesome.
And just the blend of, the Looney Tunes and
Bugs Bunny coming back and getting Jordan to play. That's awesome, yeah.
It's like such a weird
But his Bugs Bunny's lash at Disney, what kind of Mickey Mouse organization are they running around? I thought that was great. I'm totally anti-Disney, so that was perfect.
That should be brought back again, yeah. But I had for 8 would be Rocky. I'm going to have a lot of fighting stuff probably in here for obvious reasons. But
Rocky was a great movie.
Yeah. And that's like, especially I like the backstory of like how Rocky was made since that was like his first movie he directed and like
wrote and direct.
Yeah, like just like what he had to go through and it's like the boxing's obviously not really boxing, kind of like what you said with the Russell Crowe skating. Yeah. Like you don't box like you do in Rocky, but it's very entertaining, and obviously the rest of the movies are just great too. So it's a good series.
The underdog story, I think, is great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what brings it into me. So.
When I was doing my research, Balboa came up as one of the all-time greats. Mm-hmm. Not one of the Rockies 1, 2, 3, or 4, but Balboa.
See, my problem with that, and then you got Creed. He's taken the monetary sponge and squeezing it and getting as much money as he can out of it. And to me, that kind of ruined
Creed
it.
Was good. I didn't see the second one, but I liked the first one.
The second one, he's fighting Drago's kid.
Yeah, which is like, I'm like, it's like, of course that's going to happen. Yep. Like everyone's kid's going to be fighting this guy now. So it's like, but whatever. They're still good movies, I think.
Well, I didn't like the Mr. T one. That one kind of.
Yeah, that was a little silly, but
I did like Dolph Lundgren.
A lot of people
the Russian one.
Love number 3.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but
I don't. Yeah, but that's.
I mean, they're all kind of the same thing. It's just like, story, fight, montage, and fight. It's like that's every Rocky movie in a nutshell. Yeah, win. But I had another one that I thought of that it was just kind of more of it's just like a different type of movie. But did you guys ever see Green Street Hooligans? You ever seen that?
I've heard of the movie, but I haven't seen it.
Elijah Wood was in it.
And really, Frodo.
Yes, he is. He's like a journalist that goes over to I think Ireland it was, but he goes into the whole like soccer hooligans like lore basically, and like what those people like, all the fans of that and stuff.
Fans,
and it's like
they're crazy too.
yeah,
thug mentality.
It's like the gangsters of it, because it's like he gets involved with this gang and they like are following this soccer team. I'm pretty sure it's based off like the actual real soccer like football players and stuff. So, but it's just like, it's a lot of crazy, just they're fighting and killing people over soccer.
A soccer game.
Yeah, it's just, but it's real. It's all like real stuff,
Yep.
And I thought that was a good one. So that is 1, 2, 3. So my 6th one would be Waterboy. And I know and the reason why I brought this up, because I do love this movie. It's really funny and stupid, and more or less not even for the football aspect. I mean, the whole rage thing is just a funny idea, of him being this like water boy, and he actually loves being this like, job that like no one ever wants, but he takes so much pride in it, and he becomes like the best football player in this state. And actually have
that's right, through the Mud Dogs.
Yeah. No kidding. I didn't even realize that.
I go camping every year with a bunch of friends. We've been doing it since we were like 18, and probably like a couple years after we went camping, we just all just kept quoting this movie, and we just every year we made T-shirts for it. So I was like, this has a little more meaning to my life than I actually think it is. So, but the shirt right now does not help the podcast, but
it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Henry Winkler, that's the first time I saw him acting
He's
as
great.
not Fonzie, and he was pretty good
He's
too.
awesome.
So, and Jerry Reed, which I knew him from the what's the
Those race movies. I can't. Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run.
yeah.
No, it wasn't Cannonball Run. No,
He was in though. Yeah, he was,
Smokey and the Bandit.
he was in that one too.
But it was Smokey and the Bandit that Jerry Reed and he was kind of a jerk in Waterboy, and so it showed he can act. Yeah. All right, but go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I had Happy Gilmore too. That's that would be my next one. I just kept kind of the Happy Gilmore ones in order, but Happy Gilmore definitely was a great one, and the hockey and golf thing was just because I do not like golf, and this movie I can still watch to this day, and like it's just so funny and entertaining. So
well, he turned a drive into an almost slap shot, so I totally get that.
and his actual
The putter was a hockey
yeah,
stick.
exactly. That whole thing. I'm still surprised I never see people. Well, again, I don't golf really, but I'm surprised no one ever like brings that out just as a joke once in a while.
Or well, how about wearing a hockey jersey while you're
that too,
golfing?
yeah.
Okay, all right. I did that. Doesn't go over very well.
Yeah,
It does not
because they're
go
so
over-
serious.
I wore our Taekwondo hockey jersey the first time I played when I was selling insurance. And not only did the guys I was playing with, the golf pro, the owner, the people inside, the members, they just did not like that.
Yeah.
Talk about, I guess, arrogant or stuck up. Like their game.
I think that's my biggest pet peeve of golf is like it's not the sport really. It's just all those things. Like guy wear a shirt, it's just I get it, but they just take it so serious.
And that's exactly what it was. And I was there. Just look, if I have to hit the ball in the trees, I really went in there, threw it back out to where it would have went straight. I wasn't playing for score.
Yeah.
But they were like, that's like a two. You touch the ball, it's 2 strokes. I'm like, dude, I don't care if I get 20 on this hole. I'm not.
It's like
just
Secret
having
Service
fun.
watching you.
Yeah.
Jerry and I have had this debate and golfers are going to hate me for this, but I don't think golf is an athletic endeavor. Don't get me wrong. There are athletes who play golf.
Yeah.
But if you can drink and get drunk in your game and still play, sorry, it's not an athletic endeavor.
But
those Tiger Woods, they don't.
No, they don't. But
It's not like if I went
Yes.
golfing.
no,
that's
but
what
the
I'd be
weekend
doing.
warrior who does play
Yeah.
can do that.
How about your?
And no, if you can do that, it's not a sport.
How about your real pet peeve? You can't say anything when they're in their backswing.
Yeah.
Well,
that's pretty lame.
let's think about this. This is my argument with that is if you're playing baseball, you can have them say things about your mother and not only that, they're throwing the ball at you 95 miles an hour. It's curving, it's dipping, it's sliding, and anything can be said at any time.
The crowds are loud,
and you
screaming.
have to focus and hit that ball, but you can't stand there and swing and hit without someone saying something behind you. Once again, it's not an athletic endeavor in my book.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
no, I don't really care for it at all. But Happy Gilmore made me care about it for a minute.
But you got two movies with golf in it so far, though.
What's that?
Space Jam and now Happy Gilmore. So
Yeah.
there's some golf movies you got.
Yeah, exactly. I had more of a serious movie, $1 Million Baby. That was a really good one. Yeah, boxing and female boxing, which is like very different for the time, and just that whole spoiler alert, that gets really intense in that movie. And I had Dodgeball. I thought that was a really funny, like silly movie that was like, I guess it's a sports movie, No,
dodgeball. I would consider.
We played it in gym class. Absolutely.
I wouldn't have
competition.
It's more of a sport than golf.
Yeah, exactly. I would definitely play.
I like the dig they threw at ESPN with ESPN 8 the Ocho.
I forgot about that. That's funny.
That right there was worth it in itself.
Yeah, and I put down The Fighter. That was with Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg. Mickey?
I read about that. Mickey Rourke. Was he in that one, or is that
no?
Mickey was in the wrestling. movie.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
But that was what the boxer's name was Mickey something. I can't remember. I should have wrote it down. But it's about a real fight. And it's like his brother fought Sugar Ray Leonard or something, and like Christian Bale, who plays his brother, like was just like successful boxer at a time, but then got into drugs and all this stuff, and like kind of coached his brother to be the boxer he should have been, because Mark Wahlberg's character was more like just disciplined and kind of took it more seriously, but wasn't as good as Christian Bale, like his older brother. And it was this whole like he's cleaning up after his brother because he's like this junkie, and he just was like, I could
once again living in the older brother's shadow.
But but it's interesting because it's all like true story, and it was sad, and he won the fight obviously in the end, Mark Wahlberg's character, and it was just a really good movie, like, and the way the acting's like why it's so good. So
is that movie recent?
It's 2010.
Not too bad.
I like Bale in Batman.
Yeah,
and
he's a good actor.
Mark Wahlberg.
And that's the thing. Like he is this like messed up, just drug addict that you can just. It's just crazy how well he can fit into these roles, and I think that must have been close into the line of like the Batman when he was doing Batman and stuff. So it's like you get him jacked and then you get him all skinny and like strung out. It's like
those actors
transform
the way
like
they do it
that.
to their body, just for the roles, and they're starving themselves.
Crazy.
He did one where he was, I think, an AIDS patient, and he really went down to skinny as anything.
Mechanus or something. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I remember seeing him, and he looked like he was on death's door.
Gross,
and what he did, just for a role was awesome.
I put A League of Their Own down too. I just grew up with that movie, and again, like that is it's funny because I remember watching that as a kid, and it is pretty family, I guess, like a family kind. But then you think about it,
the theme behind that is family. The whole opening was, remember, she was telling as a grandma telling the boy to go easy on the younger one. That's a family theme going on there.
But then it's like the time and just the whole war thing, and again Tom Hanks' character. Now I think back, I'm like, you probably shouldn't be watching that. Like he's not like a bad guy, but it's just like he's such a degenerate in it. But he's so funny in it. He's so good.
Well, no, the movie actually could be about him, because good movies are about transformative characters.
Yeah.
And he's totally different in the end of the movie than he was at the beginning.
He hates where he was when he started. He's like, I got roped into this thing. I thought it was going to be better. And then ended up caring about all these people and seeing what they went through and stuff.
Well, he said to the one commissioner, ball players, I got a bunch of girls.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when Madonna hits a triple, he actually looks up.
Yeah.
Triple. Like it was some kind of feat.
Well,
and for my last one, I just did this for more of a joke, but Air Bud is classic. So
I've seen the trailers, but I've never seen that one.
I think I watched it once. I just wanted to say it on the air.
well, we're gonna go there.
It's like,
necessary roughness. That
was on my list, but I couldn't do it.
Did you guys like Goon? I'm surprised. I mean, I know that wouldn't be like an all time.
No, it's not. It wasn't a bad movie. I didn't like the theme, especially with what happened to me and my broken neck.
Yeah,
from
I guess that
hockey.
would be a sensitive area.
I don't like the goon mentality. It just drives me. So that kind of put me off in the. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It just.
I just know a lot of people bring that up. Since that one didn't come out in theaters. I'm pretty sure it was one of those like almost like cult classic kind of.
But that made a lot of lists as I was going through.
Yeah, that's what I'm
list. There's
saying.
a lot. Yeah,
I didn't think it was funny. That's like what everyone told me to watch it, and I watched it. I was just like, it wasn't like terrible, but I'm like,
it wasn't a comedy. That's
you know,
for sure.
like,
I agree. It was.
But you know, I just there's a lot of movies, you know. So yeah, I had another question about what do you guys think of sports movies with like real and fake sports? Like, have you ever seen like Rollerball? Do you remember that movie? There was like an 80s one.
Wasn't Rollerball James Caan? Didn't he do that in the 70s? That was a remake.
Yeah, they did a remake in like the 90s.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of
it's
including roller derby?
It's kind of roller derby-ish.
Yeah, which I don't know. I mean, I guess that's sport.
I would call that. It's all women's sports.
They still play that sport. I didn't think they did today. They have leagues who played hockey. But I didn't know that.
They had that one with the Juno actress.
Yes, I was just thinking of that myself. Yes.
Well,
but I don't know the name of it.
You probably don't watch Fox News in the morning, but Robin Murdoch, she's one of their street reporters. She's on the scene. She tore a ligament playing women roller derby, and it was elbowed, and she got taken out bad in her knee. She just came back from recovering from it. That's a gruesome sport.
Yeah, it's like NASCAR and skates.
Yeah.
You're just going in that circle fighting with people.
But they're actually, that whole whip thing and the elbow. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's moving rugby.
Pretty much. That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
But yeah, that's my list, I guess. So.
Well, those are some pretty good movies there.
Well, one thing I want to bring up is I can't believe I didn't when we were talking about Rocky. Is the good thing about Rocky was they actually had Tommy Morrison, an actual boxer, and a good one too, in the movie.
Yeah.
See, that I got to give props to Rocky for at least having a real boxer in there.
I think that was the reason for bringing him in, because he wanted a real boxer at that time of the Rocky series.
He was just coming up and coming
Morrison,
at that time.
Tommy Morrison
right
was.
That was a few years before he got
correct.
HIV.
Yes. Matter of fact, didn't the guy training us, wasn't he fighting with Morrison? Donnie?
Oh, yeah, he was. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, there's Raging Bull too. That's always a classic.
Yeah, that's a number one in a lot of. I just couldn't see why.
I always toss up with that and Rocky. So
I think it's because of.
I think Rocky's better.
Scorsese, isn't he the director?
I think De Niro played the.
De Niro played.
Yes, and that's why I think they're considered the classic. There's those two together.
And plus, that's an old one too. That came out a long time ago, correct?
I mean, then we have The Natural. I mean, there was a few movies that we left out,
a bunch, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we couldn't get them all.
I couldn't believe Talladega Nights made one of the top 10. You got to be kidding me.
But that's where different actors and it's like a funny movie. It's not even about the sport.
We're gonna go with Will Ferrell. His the basketball one.
Again, a tropical. I forget tropical something.
I don't remember, but that one, and then he also had the ice skate, figure skating one.
Now,
Blades of Glory.
Blades of Glory.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot the other one, but I remember that one.
In each of those movies, there's only one scene that makes the whole movie.
That's why it doesn't belong in any top 10 because of one scene.
Yeah.
But they're funny. I mean, they'll make you laugh.
Yeah, they're making fun of the sport.
Well, especially
that's like the point.
The figure skating one. That one I got. I mean, they're actually bringing in two
semi-pro. That's the basketball.
Semi-pro.
Yes.
You're right. That's it. But they're bringing in two male skaters into the couples, and they're basically asking fans what they think of it. And they went to the hot dog vendor who put 2 hot dogs in a bun. What do you think about it? What's it look like? And that right there, that made the movie.
Look, Will Ferrell is funny. I'm not taking anything against him, but just the movies themselves to me weren't that great.
No, they were not. They were terrible. But again, those two, and even in semi-pro, because Ferrell's character got hurt. He got really hurt his neck. And you probably appreciate this. The team just picked him up. The announcers are constantly getting drunk because the team sucks. And when they pick him up, his head just dangling. And the announcers, as they're carrying him off, the team isn't doing a very good job of stabilizing his neck right now. As they're carrying him off.
Oh, jeez.
See, now that reminds me of Bob Uecker from Major League. See, just a bit outside.
He made
that movie to me. I mean, if there's anything good about Major League, it was Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
So it's true. He made Major League. You're correct.
Is that it? Do we have anything else?
No.
I had The Warrior down. Did you guys see that? That was like one I came out when The Fighter came out, and that was like an MMA movie that
I read about it.
Tom
I didn't
Hardy's
see
in it. I forgot the other guy, but it's like good because it's like two brothers, and one's like the good brother, and the other one's like the bad one, but he's like trying to be good. I don't know. But they're fighting in this MMA tournament. And the only thing I just never sits well with me because it's fun. It's a really good movie. It's like super entertaining, action packed, but they just have this whole one fight where they fight all these people in one night. And it's like, that does happen. Like there are sports that do that.
I was going to ask you, that really
Like a
happened?
Royal Rumble?
No, it's like you fight and then like you win and you move on, like Mortal Kombat almost. It's like,
okay.
But in the same night. I think it was like a 2-day thing, but still, It's like that's not how fights.
Brutal.
That's not how MMA works. And it's like these two brothers are in the same tournament, so you obviously are like they're gonna obviously end up fighting.
I was just going to ask you, they fight?
They end up fighting, and it's it's a really good movie, but like it's just so over the top in a lot of senses. You're like, geez, that's just not how it'd work, But it's still a good movie, though. It's good.
I had a feeling you're going to bring up something MMA.
I know.
So good.
There's like I was like, I should put down Bloodsport. But I'm like, those are not really like that's like, what is a sports movie?
True.
But with martial arts, it gets kind of weird because then it's like kung fu and all that stuff.
Well, is Karate Kid a sports movie?
I almost had that down too because I'm like, is it? I mean, it is like a high school karate tournament, it's not high school, but I mean, I guess that's their
Cobra
age.
Kai.
Yeah, I mean, the new season's out, so.
I know. Well, you could actually have a podcast on what it makes a sports movie and what it doesn't.
Yeah, that
We
would be a
get
good
a
time.
podcast just on Die Hard being a Christmas movie. That is really huge out there.
Oh, you don't listen to that one? No, it's good.
Well, I want to thank everyone for listening. We do appreciate what listeners we do have. And please let us know any comments you want, good or bad. And tell us your top 10 if you want. Leave a comment at our email, which is granddesignpodcast@yahoo.com. Once again, Twitter is Grand Designs Pod. Instagram is Grand Designs Podcast. And you can pick us up on anywhere you listen to podcasts now. This is the Grand Designs Podcast. Who are you listening to?